philosophical, but I think that nothing is permanent. Actually, we are talking all the time about process. And I think that the city, I think that this is part of our troubles, to think that something is permanent. And like the closed cycles that nature use, everything is temporary. It depends on the truth, the lifetime is different. But I was thinking about how nature manage this kind of impermanent state in the life. All the time, the organisms are really very connected with the environment and asking and answering all the time the challenge that the environment established. And I think that this is our challenge, how we can be more alive and to be more connected with the environment. And trying really to, for example, to design the cities today, trying to keep some conditions for that city can evolve, not establishing and building structures that really can be removed in the next 10 years, or how you can really use this kind of. And for example, we have in Rio de Janeiro now, we have a huge opportunity. We're going to have Olympic Games in 2016, and we are completely involved in this process because we designed the logo. And they are, in my opinion, they have very interesting solutions, very interesting investments in some directions, but the other directions really with the same mindset to build things for today and not thinking about the space that's important to keep for the future and the evolution of this organism, of this ecosystem. I don't know how we can manage this in a right way. I don't know.
I just wanted to pick up two things here. One was this idea of sort of evolution and investment, and flip the question to Peter. Because a lot of the discussions we have in a certain way, whether it's about cities or the internet or whatever, tend to sometimes be very generic, as if the world is all the same. And actually, in terms of evolution, I think the world, there are many parts of the world which are in very different phases of evolution. So if I look at what's happening in Europe, economies, not too hot. Cities, no new cities, and cities with a lot of legacy. I look at this part of the world, the economy is much hotter, and cities being built from scratch. And then there's a third part of the world where the economy is picking up. There are cities, but they're going from being temporary settlements to being permanent. So I don't know, Peter, maybe just even reflecting on the European condition, what's the specific nature? I mean, because I'm always preoccupied by how should our education system prepare for the world that our designers are into? What kind of a designer do we need in Europe with less resources, more legacy, that's different perhaps from what's happening here? I mean, maybe, I don't know, you comment sort of, or is there a kind of universal designer that can do it all?
Run out of time, so Peter, would you like to give some short, quick response about that?
What I would say is that an awful lot of design education, I don't think does prepare you for working within systems. I think it's come out of the panel discussion. It is actually the design cannot be divorced from the implementation. The proverb we heard in the opening address on Monday. Actually, I suspect it's the kind of thing you can take design skills, but a lot of it is what you learn. And a lot of design in certainly urban contexts is understanding how the economic systems work, how the political systems work, and how the governmental systems work. And actually weaving your way through it. And the graphic I showed of the confusion as to how the organisations design one bit of open space in London did lead us in London to talk about the urbanism of brokerage. And possibly the skills you do need are to find those kind of very, very strategic points where if you can identify them and push them, you can make things happen. And I suppose the other thing is actually around money. the thing which is going to characterize, certainly the European city, is that we have a huge amount of work to adapt it. The challenges of climate change alone is going to mean a huge amount of investment going in to retrofit our cities. If you add on a scenario of very, very low economic growth, maybe even one of elegantly managed economic decline, and dealing with the kind of the social pressures, we're going to have to do a lot of social adaptation at the same time, which is why incremental strategies actually work very well. You can start anywhere, you know where you're going, you can do small things as and when you get the opportunities, you can use budgets and organisations which are doing things that just slightly distort them to align them with a bigger vision. And at the same time, you can make things happen now and quickly, and I think that's probably where we're going to go. So I suppose the short question is, yeah, you need design training. You certainly need a huge amount of political experience. You need to know how systems work, and you need to know how money works. I'm going to finish with, I visited Bilbao and met the city architect in Bilbao a few years ago. And the first thing he said was, I'm not going to talk about Bilbao, I'm going to talk about finance. And he gave me an hour's lecture on how finance worked on the regional model in Spain. And that was the most important lecture I could have had in understanding the architectural and design work he'd then been able to do in Bilbao.